Hello, fellow Clashers. It is Kairos time, and today we have a very special guest on the air with us. We have Woody, the Mortar Mauler and leader of Reddit Alpha. Woody, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for inviting me, first of all, KairosTime. I really enjoyed watching some of the videos on your channel. I was an a cappella singer in college myself, so I loved your rendition of the theme song.
We'll
just
have
a little
to
bit
do
about
one ourselves sometime.
I would love to. I'm a baritone bass, so yeah, maybe we can get something together.
There you go.
But I'm the leader of Reddit Alpha. I've been playing Clash Royale since the very first day of the soft launch. I love playing siege decks, and I stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/WWoody123, and I'm also here on YouTube. The username is WWoody123, so I really enjoy meeting some other YouTube personalities and talking with them. I've done work with Rumham and Clash with Ash, and so it's a great pleasure to be on your channel now, and I hope that your viewers will go out and see the sort of stuff I've been working on too.
Absolutely. I've been checking it out. It really is fantastic, guys. Make sure you go check it out. I'll put a link in the description below so that you can easily get to his channel. You can also just search Woody Clash Royale and it's right there. So, hey, so you are the leader of Reddit Alpha, and which, from what I understand, is basically all of the Reddit clans, really. So one question I have for you is, how did you manage to build up such a great community of clans around you?
I appreciate the question. It's not entirely correct, though. The Reddit clan system is comprised of several dozen clans. Reddit Alpha is just one of the clan families that makes up the clan system. But I will give you some credence because we've got the top guys in the Reddit clan system right now. We actually have, I think, either 4 or 5 of the top clans in the clan system. And so it's many hundreds of people, might even be thousands of people at this point, who are in the community. And it's all thanks to the hard work of the admins, the marshals, the people who moderate the subreddit, who come together and support community events, bring all these guys together on some Discord servers that we have. We've got a lot of ways that we communicate outside of the game that makes it really easy to build up this great community, and it's the people that make it excellent, and I'm just happy to be part of it.
Hey, so then my next question is, well, now you're known as the Mortar Mauler. How have your decks changed since you first started out the game?
When I first started playing, I actually didn't rely specifically on the Mortar. I played a lot of different cards before I figured out that I really loved Siege. In fact, I actually used Spell Cycle back when spells used to do 50% of their damage to the tower instead of just 40%. And I was global top 100 by just dropping rockets on level 10 players all day long as a little, level 7 or 8, whatever I was back then.
That's fantastic. So are you still using Mortar in your deck now?
I have been experimenting with some Mortar decks, but it's not really my primary right now. I still consider myself the Mortar Mauler because I'm a Siege player at heart. And, when the spirit of the card gets improved so that I can play it competitively, I certainly look forward to getting back to it. But right now I've been experimenting more with some graveyard decks, with Expo decks, and even with some Hogrider decks.
Absolutely. How does it feel to have such a big voice in Clash Royale?
Well, I just really enjoy making the content. I've been privileged to get access to some of the early builds and even to go out to Helsinki to meet the developers. I wouldn't necessarily say that I have one of the biggest voices, but I hope that viewers of my channel and anyone who's watching here will enjoy my perspective and will appreciate the the background in the competitive scene that I bring to game analysis.
Absolutely. It seems especially like the Reddit community really likes to follow you, and you've got a great analysis. How do you think, or what really helped you get to the point where you could have that type of in-depth analysis in the game?
Perhaps it's partially due to just my educational background. I've studied economics and just a really good numbers guy. And I think also a big component of it is just experience and doing the same thing over and over again. Eventually you get pretty good at it. I started doing the card popularity snapshot many months ago and have just released my 19th one. So when you do something 19 times, It takes a few hours each time you do it. You start to realize what works and what doesn't work.
The clan chest update, kind of really big and exciting. Clans get to work together to try and help out each other. But it seems to be that there might also be some negativity brewing because of it, with really strict requirements in clans and people getting kicked and things like that. What's your opinion, or how do you feel about that clan chest update?
I think that it's great overall. It's a step in the right direction, and there are some pitfalls to it. But getting clans to work together and wanting to achieve a goal that they all get to reap the rewards of is really awesome. It's unfortunate that whenever someone leaves the clan or gets kicked, that they become ineligible for the clan chest. I really wish that there were a way that players could leave and then come back and participate in like community events and go say hi to their friends and things like that, but still have a home clan. So I would say that's the number one downfall, and I'm sure that there's some sort of solution out there. I haven't really thought of it yet. Maybe designating a home clan where you can remain eligible for the entire season, as opposed to just while you're in the clan. That would be one solution. But
definitely,
I think the clan chest was a great idea. I'm glad that it was implemented, and just ironing out the kinks is a never-ending task for the developers, and I'm sure that they're working hard on it.
My next question is, do you ever tilt?
I don't really tilt very much, actually. Back when emotes, you couldn't mute them. I was actually on the developer side when they said, hey, you know what, just deal with it, right? Like, we like strong emotions in the game, because I just treat it like a game, and I guess it's easy to say. Like, some people get really wrapped up into it because it's so fun, right?
Yeah.
And it feels bad to lose, right? And when people rub it in your face, that doesn't feel good either.
When you care about the game.
Yeah, exactly. I try not to let that really affect me too much. I actually played poker quite a bit, and going on tilt is a term that comes from the poker world, where you lose a big hand that you feel like you shouldn't have lost, and so that makes you play differently, in the following hands, or in the case of Clash Royale, in the following games. So perhaps I've trained myself somewhat to compartmentalize each experience and just say, you know what, I lost that one, but I'm just going to go back and keep trying my best in the next round.
That's great. Good advice to anybody as well. So my next question is, how do you think the Electro Wizard is going to change the meta?
The Electro Wizard. Well, I think that overall he might be a slightly underpowered card. It's difficult to say this early. He just came out today.
Yep.
But if he does become really popular, he would give Zap Bait a big problem. Right now, I play a lot of Siege decks, and Royal Giant is just such a massive headache for me. Not because it counters Siege decks, but because it works so well on its own. It doesn't even need to be going up against a Mortar or an Expo deck to get a lot of value.
Absolutely.
So if Electro Wizard is the counter to Zap Bait decks, I'm okay with that. But if we see Electro Wizard just doing really well independently, then that might present some issues. And then also, Electro Wizard is going to frustrate any troop that has a charge attack.
Yes.
Like the Prince, the Dark Prince, the Inferno Tower, Sparky, Inferno Dragon. And so that makes it very difficult to play those types of cards if Electro Wizard is popular. And then I think the final thing would be, if Electro Wizard becomes popular, we would have to see Fireball and or Poison in every deck.
Yep.
Just because it's so effective at taking that dude out of an even Elixir trade to get a little bit of collateral damage up to whatever's near him, whether it's a tower or some other troops.
What are some changes you would like to see in the Clash Royale community?
Some changes I'd like to see. Well, I'd really like to see a better reason for players in the community to want to push competitively in Clash Royale.
Yeah.
Where right now at the end of the season you get a nice little trophy that says you were, 23,542nd in the world. I'd like for those legendary trophies to mean something, and I think that it would be great if there were like a cosmetic reward to do so, because as it stands right now, a lot of the highly competitive players will just not even play for 10, 12 days out of the season, and the last couple days just push really, really hard to get up to the top. And so I'd like to see more consistent gameplay for some of those guys. And then also I think that there should be, and this is probably even more important, there should be a better tournament mode in-game. Players really miss those 15K tournaments that we used to have access to over the summer, right when the tournaments were introduced. It was so fun competing for those massive prize pools. And so I think that bigger prizes and perhaps a bracketed format as well would work really well. Virtually every competitive community event is based on a bracketed format instead of the in-game just kind of casual social mode tournament is how I kind of think of it. Yeah. So I'd like to see a bracket mode, or perhaps something more like the challenge mode, where it's like a triple elimination tournament.
Are there any other really big updates that you would like to see in 2017?
Well, besides the bracketed format for the tournaments, I think that an expansion of the role of clans or teams, or just some sort of group function would be really important. There have been some amazing live events that I've been to, and I think that those are like the heart and soul of the esports scene. But in terms of just like making this a very good social game, you've got to have a reason to want to meet up with your buddy and play Clash Royale. Right now,
absolutely,
Clash Royale is a game that you play on your own, when you're not doing anything else. And I think that it would be really fun if we could get like a 3v3 format in the game where you guys like all get together, play a game against another team of 3 players, and then whoever gets the most wins the series, and then you get to cheer for your teammates.
Absolutely.
And be happy about that victory, or you ultimately lose and try again next time. But 3v3, 5v5, 7, or even 9-player like clan war in the game that would just last maybe 5 minutes, as long as it takes for each person to play their own match. But then all the results are displayed afterwards. Everyone can view the results and just get a more sense of community. Because the only thing that we really have in terms of clan competition right now in the game is the clan leaderboard, where whoever has the most trophies just wins at the end of every season, and then it starts over again. There's not really any like pat on the back, good job, like we did it, sense of accomplishment that you get.
Well, and even in Clash of Clans, the top 3 clans do get a nice chunk of gems added, and that's not in Clash Royale right now.
That's right, and if we had something like that, or just something that could like keep track of clan performance and challenges, or just something. There's just nothing right now, and there ought to be something. And I think it took Clash of Clans about a year before they got Clan Wars, so maybe
it took a while.
The same thing happens, to Clash Royale.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. I'd love to see that as well. It'd be interesting to see how Supercell would exactly implement that, but I think that you're right in the fact that the community wants something like that right now. How do you feel about the Royal Giant and the fact that it's so easily overleveled and kind of a difficult problem for people who are trying to climb up the ladder?
I think it's an issue, and I think it's a learning experience for the developers. I don't think that they're very likely to introduce a common card that is so beefy and a win condition in and of himself in the future. I think that it's good that there's a troop out there that can counter buildings, because buildings became very frustrating in the like April time frame, and players didn't really know what to do to fight back against them. The Royal Giant is the obvious answer, but even outside of a metagame in which buildings are popular, right? And there's hardly like some cannon use. I guess some players will use Tombstone and Furnace, but like there's very little mortar play in any levels of game play, and there's very little expo play even at the top of the ladder. And so Royal Giant's still doing quite well.
Cool. So got cut off just a little bit there. You were mentioning that you do think that the Royal Giant is an issue, especially between the 2,000 and the 4,000 trophy range. Did you have any other thoughts that you wanted to add to that?
Just that the fact it's a common card that's really easy to get upgraded. Even if you're like a level 10 or 11 player, you can have a max level Royal Giant. It makes it for some kind of goofy gameplay, because you get kind of funneled into being forced to play this card, because otherwise everything else that you have is relatively underpowered. And so you find that it's strong, you upgrade it, and then you kind of get locked into gameplay that might not necessarily be the most fun for you, and oftentimes on defense, it's not very easy to take down an overleveled Royal Giant.
Absolutely.
And so it can be kind of frustrating gameplay as well.
Then my next question is about the Elite Barbarians, also a common. Do you think that those are going to be an issue when they become overleveled, or do you think Supercell's going to nerf it before that becomes a problem?
That's a great question. There have to be some common cards, and so it's really trying to differentiate what makes a Royal Giant overpowered, but not a Knight overpowered, that is interesting to me. And I think that the fact that Royal Giant has so many hit points in one body that targets the tower makes it relatively difficult to stop. Whereas I think Elite Barbarians, even though they are very strong, I don't necessarily think that they're overpowered, because you can still distract them by playing like an Ice Golem or Skeleton Army or anything. that can shut them down, and then dealing damage at them from afar before they even reach your tower makes them different, in my opinion, from the Royal Giant.
One last question that I had for you is, if a player is really wanting to improve their Clash Royale skills, how important is focusing on the micro part of the game? And when we're talking about that, we're talking about tile placement, timing, prediction spells. And how important is it to focus on the macro part of the game when it comes to like deck building, understanding your opponent's deck, and which cards to level up and such?
I think macro is so much more important than micro. Micro is very useful if you kind of know already what to do, but not how to do it. Whereas the macro is the what to do. And there's a lot of players who don't understand concepts like elixir advantage, who don't really think about the tempo of the game and whether or not they're trying to build up to a big push, or if they are playing a chip-based deck that just goes for a little bit of damage here and there. So kind of understanding the theory of the game and knowing how to play is more important than knowing which individual tile or which millisecond you're supposed to play that card on. It does matter, and at the upper echelons of gameplay, that is where those decisions will either win you the game or cost you the game. But if you are still working on improving, I'd say start with the fundamentals. And I think you gave some great examples there of some things that starting off playing Clash Royale you should want to learn first.
Hey, well, Woody, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the channel. Is there anything else that you would like to say before I let you get going?
Just thanks again for having me here. It's been a blast talking to you. I really look forward to checking out this video as it goes live. I hope that your viewers will check out our clan Reddit Alpha if they're interested in stopping by and looking for a competitive, fun group of guys. And I know you run your own clan as well, so I'm sure that they'll get the shout outs that they need. But I also stream on Twitch and on YouTube. WWoody123 is the username that I'm at for both of those accounts.
Fantastic. Hey, well, thank you so much once again. Guys, go check Woody out. And for the time being, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in the arena.